is up, my beautiful people? This is Kentrinier.
I'm Izay Castillo.
Yeah, I'm Alfie.
Alright, and then today we're gonna talk about how do we get ready for finals, how are we gonna rock it and have you guys get on to your beautiful winter break. But you have to study and you have to get ready for this and not get killed by your grade, right?
Yeah, that's true. It's 20%.
Yeah, so 20%.
20%.
It's ridiculous.
Isn't it frustrating you have to give 100% for something that's worth 20% or 10%?
Yeah.
It's stressful. But okay, so here's the first question and we're gonna chat about it. Should students take time off of sports and work to study for finals?
Personally, I don't really take time off, but I have time after school to when I go to bed. So I have a whole maybe 8 or 7 hours, and usually I space it out. I don't try to all at once. I would say if you're whole days dedicated to sports, then yeah, take some time off, to study a little bit.
Okay. And Alfie?
Yeah, I feel like it's hard, especially when you're trying to go to college for sports. But like Zay said, I mean, you have a lot of time between the time practice ends and the time you go to bed. So if you can start on your finals early enough, if you start studying around this time instead of a couple days before your finals start, you have to plan.
Yeah, no, totally. Always try to do it early. If you can ask your teachers to take your finals sooner, go for it. And if you really need to sacrifice your work time or sports, just go for it,
Yeah, because, school is more important than sports. Because with school, you're going to get farther than you are in sports. It's going to make more of your life after school. It's going to set you up. In sports, I mean, yeah, you can do it professionally, but you're most likely going to make it farther. We'll focus on that.
Of course, right on. And all-nighter, should we ever pull an all-nighter?
No.
It's not a good idea. It's just, you need your 8 hours to sleep.
That's why, you should space it out, get it done over time. Start, me, I'm probably going to start this weekend with finals, 2 weeks before. So I'm not, stressing at the end,
Right.
Realistically, since finals are an accumulative test, you're studying for it the whole semester. So it's put away lessons that seem important at the time. It'll make it easier to study for finals.
Yeah.
So, and it's always more important to have a good grade going in, because even though it's worth 20%, it's better to have a good 80% than 20% in case you don't the final.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, wow, that's a really good point, Alfie. Good job, man.
Yeah.
Sure. How many hours of sleep is the best?
I would say the least amount of sleep you should get is 6.
Yeah.
That's the point to where you're drowsy during the day, but you're still able to function. Anything below that, you're hurting your mental health and physical health.
I feel 6 to 8 probably.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty legit.
We're gonna talk about what should we do at study hall and what do you guys do during study hall. And I know you're from Las Vegas, so I don't know how it works. I'll move to Alfie on this one. Last year in junior year, what did you do during study hall?
So for study, I can't even lie and study. But it's it also comes along with that time management thing. If you can set out time that you're gonna study, you don't really need that study hall period could be that time you set out, but you don't necessarily have to study within that, as long as you have time, you're gonna study.
If you're not really studying for a test, because say that the easy classes you just do a presentation or a speech, would that be any different?
I don't think so. So the thing with classes when you get to do a presentation that, I feel you should knock that one out of the park. That should be your best final, because when a teacher gives you a presentation, it's kind of like a lob. They're just throwing it up for you to get an A. So I feel you should pay just as much attention to that as you would the other finals.
Okay. And then Izay, so how was it back in Las Vegas?
So it was kind of like that, but on Monday and Tuesday, the dead days, the teacher would review with us.
Okay.
They would set up assignments for us to do, but we would have to make our own review and stuff and do it on our own, sort of. But they also help too with just giving us assignments.
Damn. Okay. So maybe during study hall, if I find you, vlog you and say, yo, Izay, what are you doing right now? And if you like partying, it just shows that this guy is a god. This guy doesn't need to study. He'll just ace his finals.
Party
100%.
Party hardy, kids.
Yeah.
Party hardy. Is it worth it to get an A?
Yes.
It's always nice, yeah. But the thing about finals is it could take you down a letter grade, but it'll only move you up.
That's true.
It's kind of ridiculous.
I would say it's important to get an A because you want a good GPA, right? And schools, they don't look at how you started off or how you ended. They look in the middle, your sophomore and junior year. of how you were able to stay strong and stay with good grades and how you were still motivated to do good. So I feel like no matter where you are in high school, you always want an A. And you should always strive to do the best, because when you go to college, you're gonna see like, okay, who strived to get an A and who just was like, okay, let me just pass this class.
So generally, me personally, coming from a student who's always studied so hard and got A's all the time, those classes, like, yeah, I guess I enjoyed them, but I don't always remember what I learned or what I got out from it. Because like I feel like the education system nowadays, it's like it teaches you how to memorize it, and then once you do it, you forget it.
It just prepares you to take a test. So like it's all about a grade. Grade isn't the best way to measure intelligence.
Yeah, thank you.
Like, yeah.
I don't think it defines you. Know where you're coming from, because I think people want A's just for colleges to
it's
like
always
it.
Nice. Like,
Yeah, it's nice, but
no
I wouldn't
one
stress
comes
on
into
it.
a class, it's like, I'm gonna fail the shit out of this test, bro. I can't wait to get this F, dog.
No, that is true. Like some colleges will still accept you even though you have low grades.
Right.
They just gotta see like somewhere you're smart, because you're right. School, it's a messed up way to measure your smart, you know, because you can be the best memorizer, you know, memorize every formula, everything, but you don't know how to apply it, you know? The way that, like, I look at it, learning should be the training of the mind to think, you know? It shouldn't be the training of the mind to memorize.
Grades are kind of just like, it's like a formality. It's just like, oh yeah, it's like he's a good student, he has extracurriculars, and he has good grades. It's like
It's
an
the
add-on.
package.
Yeah, it's like an add-on. It's not the end-all be-all of.
Right.
That's also what I really don't like. It's like, it's assimilating all the students.
Right.
No one is the same. No one thinks the same way. No one has the same brain. No one has the same life. So when they try to put everyone in the same classroom, teach them the same, teach them the same curriculum, it's like, you can't do that, because even if you ask a mother of 2 children, she will tell you her 2 students, they're not the same. They're totally different.
Especially if they're teachers.
Exactly, complete polar opposites. So why does the school system, you know, try to make the children that way? It's not gonna work. Like, an analogy I use is, if you tell a squirrel to go run up a tree, right? It's gonna go run up a tree. Because that's what it can do, you know? That is its ability. If you tell a fish to go swim, it's gonna go swim because that's its ability. That is what it can do and what it is good at. Now, if you tell that fish to go run up the tree and then go run, it's not gonna be able to do it. It's gonna live its whole life thinking it's stupid because you're putting it in the wrong environment. Exactly.
Wow, dude, this
That's
guy's
crazy.
speaking facts, bro. Like, dude.
It's gonna think, of course it's gonna think it's stupid. It's gonna be like, why can't I run?
Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
a fish.
No, exactly, and like it doesn't like go with pace, like fast-paced learners versus slow-paced learners,
And like hands-on learners and like visual learners, it's all like, oh, do it like this, curriculum, and like you have to follow this curriculum.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I feel like the school doesn't. I think that's what you two are coming across, is that individuality is not being seen, or they're trying to make us all as robot factories. You know, like we're all factories trying to build that, and if you can't build that product in time, you're fired.
Yeah. It's some crazy shit my brother told me. So like school used to work really well because it would train people to go get jobs.
Right.
And like, so say in like the 50s and 60s, people would go through school and like people wouldn't even go to college. They just finish high school and then they'd go get a job and they'd make enough money to provide for their family. But nowadays we don't need people in jobs. We need people who like to think. We need creative people. We need people who like to like innovate, bro. People who just have thoughts and like they like imagination and they like creativity. And school just doesn't teach that. School teaches you how to get a job. Because sometimes you'll have shitty teachers. Sometimes you'll have shitty bosses. Sometimes you'll have a fun boss. And it's just like school. Having a job is just like school. But we don't need people working anymore. We need people creating and innovating and thinking of ways to just.
I agree with that. Because if you think about it, looking at the classroom right now, what is it?
Yeah, we're still sitting.
It's set a space that is set for us. We have to tell a teacher when we want to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
They tell us when we can eat, when we cannot eat.
Yeah.
They tell us when we have to go to the next place and when we can't. They tell us when we have to be here and when we have to leave.
Facts, bro.
Exactly.
Bro.
Think about
Yeah,
it.
dude.
Like,
So,
some
like,
crazy shit, bro. So like how I went to private school before this, like at the private school, all the classrooms had windows, but in public school, like no public
Yeah,
schools
exactly.
have like windows, which really which doesn't sound like a big deal, but it actually like kind of susses me out how we never get sunlight during the day.
Yeah.
If you really think about it, like you just never get to like get natural light, like which is like you just feel better, bro.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of crazy.
And think about it, like they're teaching us like people who are gonna go and get jobs, but it's different. This isn't the 50s, the 40s, and the 30s. This is the 21st century. You know, everything in our life has changed. Phones have changed, cars have changed, houses have changed, everything. There's not one thing that's the same. You know, everything is getting better.
Except for school, bro.
Exactly.
Right.
If you look at a classroom, probably from like the 20s, it looks exactly the same. I was in history yesterday, and we saw photos of classrooms from the late 19th century, and it looked just like this
You
classroom.
sit in rows and you point at a board.
Yeah,
whether
exactly.
It's a black or a white board, doesn't really matter.
And it's one person
Yeah.
trying to teach, you know, a whole group
And
of
they
people.
lecture, bro. The
Exactly.
craziest thing is like how school is just teaching you how to study for a test. So like I used to frantically take notes all the time. Even when I was trying to study for something like the finals, I wouldn't go back and look at them because like I just read it over and I'd be like, this is just dumb information. Like it's miscellaneous. Like it doesn't mean anything.
Like, why would you want to know this
Yeah.
now?
So like, I stopped taking notes in any class, even if the teacher's like, oh, you have to take notes or you will fail. Like I'm just like, I'm not taking notes because I never look back at them.
Do you notice
I never
when
look
you
back at
okay?
my notes.
Do you notice when you take notes on the Promethean board, you're just writing down words, but you don't know what you're writing. You're just
like speed. You're just trying to write
Yeah.
it down just so you have it.
But when you listen, you get a lot more from it. Like
Yeah.
honestly, it saves paper if you just listen.
You just pay
and then you get
attention.
more. Yeah, exactly. Pay
Yeah.
attention.
Both of my parents are doctors and they really want me to go into medicine.
Right.
And like I was just looking at it and it's like after college, after a 4-year college, I get a degree in say like biology, some science. And then I'd have to go to graduate. I'd have to
Med
get
school.
yeah, I have to go to med school. And that's like on top of like the point is by the time I would get out of school and be able to get a qualified job as a doctor, I'd be in school for an additional like 8 years after I got my undergraduate degree, which seems kind of ridiculous to waste your 20s and your early 30s in school when I could be doing so many better things in my life, like the prime years of my life, which is
Yeah.
kind of ridiculous.
I like that, yeah.
Especially when we've been in school since like you start kindergarten when you're like 4
Yeah.
or 18 now.
And how are you gonna know what you want to be since the
Yeah,
kindergarten? Like
that's
that
what I'm
changes
saying,
all
bro.
the time.
Yeah.
For real.
Should we study in fear just so we don't fail, or do we study in confidence? What is the better mindset or the better path?
Studying in fear is no way to study at all, right? Teachers and schools, they want to prepare you, they want you to be happy, and they want you to go through knowing you're gonna make it, right? Like every time you walk into a classroom or at the end of the school year, they're like, okay, we're gonna prepare you for next year, right? But if they're really preparing us, why are we so scared to go into it? Shouldn't we feel like we are able to go in? And that's how I feel with studying, right? They're like, I'm preparing you for the final, I'm preparing you for the final, I'm preparing you for the final, right? But we're so scared that we study, we try to do everything and all we can so we don't fail.
For real.
That's just a bad mindset. For me, I feel like we should have a mindset of, I want to learn this for me, you know? I want to do this and I know I'm going to pass it. You should have a mindset going in like, I'm going to do this. I know I can do this and I know what I have to do to get there, and that's what it's going to take.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And it's kind of like with the final, it's like it makes you scared because kids know that if you bomb this test, it fucks your grade up. So like you could have an A, like you could be coasting at like a 90, a 92, a 93, a 94 all year. You've been doing your work, you've been getting it in on time, you've been a good student. You do bad on this one test, say you get like a 60 and now you have an 87. And it's like, how is that fair that you were working hard all semester
Exactly.
to get this A and
That's
then
so true.
one test?
Yeah.
But like you're saying, like it's understandable why people are scared, but it shouldn't be that way.
Yeah.
No, I totally get that. For example, like you know, like when you're in a boxing competition, when you face that opponent, it can get scary as hell. But when you're like with your coach practicing, it's not pressuring
Yeah.
because you know you have that ideal sense.
Yeah.
So like I'm saying that just like have that same feel with your coach just like you do with your opponent. So like with that homework, study on your homework just as confidently as you would with that test, and boom, it really does do you well, because since the school system's already so ideal, it gives you questions on basic answers, you know, I think that'll be fine. Even though I disagree with it, at least it does help. So I totally get what you two are saying.
So I feel like I honestly learn more from playing sports than being in school, and it's like something that my football coach told me. He's all like, why would you go into a game and do something you didn't practice during the week?
Exactly.
So it's like, if you just do what you practice, if you just study what's going to be on the test, you should be fine. You should go in there knowing like, I studied, I know what I need to know, and I'm just going to do what I'm going to do. Like if I fail, I fail, but I'm going to pass because I did what I needed to do to prepare, and like now I'm ready to just hit it.
Exactly.
The football you play once every week, it's like the week is the hardest part. The game is easy. The game is supposed to be fun. Like it's why you play, to play the game. So it's like you should practice, you should study hard so that the test can be easy. So you can be confident in that test.
But that's how I feel with school. Like, people are passionate to play sports. They play and they practice so they can get into that game, so they can get into the end and do what they want to do. I've never actually met someone that wanted to do homework so bad and test so bad so they can pass school and pass their final exam. Like, I feel like it's something we need to change. It's just like taking away the student's individuality, like we said, and it's deteriorating like ourselves.
No, I agree.
Because it's not like kids are dumb. Like every kid is passionate about something that's not athletic. But if you were allowed to do that during school hours, you'd want to work on that. That's something you'd want to do.
No, I totally agree.
To do that.
I totally agree. I think that's a really interesting point. Not every student is willing to fake themselves into it.
Fake themselves for everything.
Yeah, I'd be sitting there doing homework and I'm like, what is this even I need from you? Like, this is so irrelevant.
No, and do you know Ty Lopez, commercial guy? Like with his fancy cars and stuff?
And these subjects, they're good, right? Physics and math is good for someone who wants to go be an engineer or be a physicist, right? But not everyone wants to be a physicist. Not everyone wants to go out and be a marine biologist. Not everyone wants to go out and be, someone in the science field of the earth, right? So why do we have to take those classes, and why is it required to get into college? Because in college, we necessarily don't even have to take those classes. We can take like psychology or art.
It's kind of crazy, like you do though, because like there's this thing for your degree, you have to do like general studies, and it's just like high school.
Exactly.
Like my brother was telling me about it. He's a sophomore in college, and his whole freshman year, all he did was take prerequisites. And all he did was take classes that he had already taken in high school. But since the credits don't transfer over, because high school credits, college credits, he just pretty much ended up taking like another year of high school his freshman year.
Yeah.
That's what he was telling me.
So it defeated the point.
Yeah,
defeated
so
the
like,
point.
what even is the point?
Some stuff we should take. We should know basic English and how to basic write. But we shouldn't have to like go so in depth.
That should be like stuff we take our freshman year. Why do I need 4 credits, 4 English credits if I'm not going to be going to England?
Right, and for you haters out there to potentially say Izay wants us to get rid of history, so if you don't want to be a history major, get rid of history. He's not saying that. What he's saying is that if you know you're not going to be in the history field, you don't have to go in depth. You don't need to make it a requirement saying you have to take an AP that.
I mean, like, how many times have we taken like U.S. history, just like from kindergarten to high school?
And do you remember most of it?
For real.
No.
How many times have we taken world history and New Mexico history?
I hate to say it, but I feel like we are wasting a lot of students' time. Like during my freshman year and sophomore year, I learned more doing my YouTube channel and doing more social activism work rather than being in an hour and a half lecture class.
And like I said, I learned more playing football than like our 2-hour practices than I did all of school.
Yeah. Because did football make you a leader?
Yeah. It turned me into a man, honestly.
There you go.
It's crazy. I feel like it's also tough for these teachers. They understand that like school's like hard for the kids and like they want to do cool stuff, but they have to stick to this curriculum.
Right.
So like they want.
So I've been through a lot of schools, right? Maybe like 12 or something. And I've learned so many different ways to do math, right? Those are so much harder than the other ways that I've learned. Like I've had teachers that actually good ways, and I'm actually good at like teaching, right? And they've taught me like how to get it like that, and I can understand the concept. So the people that make up these curriculums, you know, at the top of APS, are like, oh, you have to teach them math this way. Well, if you ask them, will you do this?
Yeah.
I bet you they will not be able to do it because they don't even know it and they can't even understand it. So why are you telling the teacher who knows how to do it how to do their own work? Exactly.
Right.
It's their job.
Right. So we're not even allowing teachers to be their own individuals.
Exactly.
Creative.
We're not allowing them to even be individuals. So how is a student going to be able to be their individual?
It's crazy, like, because I used to, like, when I'd get help, like, on math homework from my dad, and he'd show me how to do it, and it'd be way different than
Exactly.
the way I learned it in school.
We're not blaming the teachers. We're not blaming anybody big. We just disagree with how the system sets.
Okay, I know you guys have an image to keep, but no, I blame the people at the top. I blame the government, the superintendent, because they're not doing their job. You know, their job is to help the school thrive, and I feel like what they're doing isn't helping the school thrive. You know, I have family members that are teachers, and it's hard. Their life is hard. You know, everything they have to do, and they tell me the curriculum and the meetings they have to go and the new ways that they get taught every year to teach. It's not right, because you can't tell someone how to do their job if you don't even know how to do that job.
Do you think I should show this video to the new superintendent?
I dare you to show it, and
I'll do it.
I'm asking you right now, what is your opinion? How are you gonna tell a teacher how to teach the thing that they went to school for probably years of their life, but you don't even know how to do it
I
yourself?
went to school for it.
How are you gonna?
It's their job.
Exactly. How are you gonna tell us and tell the teachers what is good for them when they know themselves that they're mentally and physically hurting themselves? How are you gonna say that, and how are you gonna build and do this to work on it? Because
it's not like this. It just doesn't happen.
Exactly, and I don't feel like coming to school because I don't feel like I'm able to grow, and I don't feel like I'm actually here to learn.
Yeah, no, okay, so come off. Alright guys, so thank you so much for watching this video. I'll leave Alfie for the final tips, and we'll go through Izay and then go through.
Okay, so I guess, like, just don't stress, get plenty of sleep, and preparation's everything.
Yeah, and starting out, you know, don't wait until like a day before your finals. Like, do everything now, you know, get your stuff done, and like, do the reviews your teachers give you, because those actually help.
And I'm just gonna keep mine simple. Believe, hustle, fight, and that's all you gotta do. If you want to see Izay and Alfie again, please comment that down below. And I think we can talk more great topics, because honestly, those two are natural. I gotta give it to you guys. You guys are natural.
Yeah.
You guys are natural. But other than that, let's fix society now, bro.